Stay with the 9, niggas know it's mine. Nigga, all I do is shine and all I do is grind. What's yours is mine. I don't come very kind, but I hit you with a tech and it's aiming for your spine. One shot kill, you know the deal. I don't pop pills, but the shit is real, cause you already know the deal. Nigga better chill before I put him in this ocean. This blunt I'm tolling, my goon is rolling. Nigga stay on the block, 40 block, keep it cocked, 20 shots at your head. Leave you dead with nobody shots. Stay with a cop, one fuck with a cop, and stay fresh, one fucking beat. Push him dead, you dead in sleep, and run up on me, 6 feet deep. Yeah. I'm dressed in all white and I love them dice, cause they suck nice and they pussy just right. Stay on the beat, nigga, put you in your sleep. Nigga, getting 8 feet while you begging for me. Praying to the Lord, cause you know what I did. Lord Red's in the crib, finna shoot him in the head. Leave him in the cut, niggas already know what's up. Roll that blunt, and I'm really high as fuck, cause I am in the back leaning. Got your girl fainting, and my uncle over that bitch, he really been. Niggas cannot fuck with it. Stay fresh, stay on the block, and this is not a test. If it was, I ace it. Niggas is racist. Niggas know the bill, cause it's not temptation. Nigga back up before you get smacked up. My gun check up, and leave your ass wet up all day. Fade away, before I make your ass spray. I will find out where you lay, put the gun in your background, and I leg down. Got that mag now, in that chopper with the 100 round for your clowns. You niggas gotta frown, we'll turn it upside down, because I stay shining and stop hating now. Got my man in the background, you feel me? Let's talk to the camera, man. Let's talk to the man. Yeah.